So you're welcome back to the program. This is Today with John and Helen. And in the last few weeks, we've been able to conclude that the entertainment industry has grown in such an interesting way and could be best described as the next viable income earner for our dear country. With the discovery of talents and budding stars evolving from mainstream entertainment initiatives to the backenders who keep deriving business avenues and feeding off the successes of the industry, making the sky not the limit, but the starting point for those who venture to explore their talent and passion.
And so joining us on today's show to share her experience, a very exciting experience, I would say, on how she became an overnight success, is a film director and screenwriter, Biodun Stephen. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, you're a creative. And you're so quiet. I thought they said the creatives were...
Well, for
We're
this
crazy.
purpose, we need to be quiet. We save the crazies for later.
It's an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for
So
having
you
me.
wear the different caps at different appropriate times.
Yes,
She's so
guess.
calm. You can't believe.
I thought I was calm.
Oh, Lord.
So you're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, later on in the program, we'll also have Tara Ajibulu, who's head of operations Best of Technologies. And she'll be talking to us about how she made the mark.
How she made the mark.
Yes.
All right. So first to Biodun Stephen, who is seated right here and looking so calm. I hope she's calm totally. Biodun studied philosophy at the Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife, as well as film at the London Film Academy. She worked as on-air personality for 5 years and copyright writer for 4 years. In the course of her interesting career, Biodun Stephen had a brief stint in project management, taking up film fully in 2012. Her first film, The Visit, earned her an AMVCA Best Movie West Africa nomination in 2015. Biodun Stephen is the writer and producer of the acclaimed Picture Perfect, which became Bola Ninolowo's breakout role in his earth-shaking career in acting. She also earned an AMVCA nomination in 2020 as Best Screenplay for the faith-based movie, Joba. Biodun is a 3-time winner in the Iroko Top 2017 to 2019 movie category, and we can just go on and on and on.
And on.
Biodun, well done.
Thank you.
Well done. And once again, thank you for sharing your experience with us. For coming to the studio this morning. You are kicking off the first segment of this show, and that's very critical for us as we look at overnight success myths in entertainment. By the way, is there anything like that? Overnight success?
I don't believe that there is, because there's a lot of work. I think that people say overnight because when you finally notice someone, then you imagine that it's an overnight. But there's a lot of groundwork, that has been done before what is seemingly termed, overnight. There's a lot of work there.
A lot of process.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a journey.
It's a huge journey, and many times you're discouraged. Many times you feel like giving up. But then when that big break comes, the conversation then becomes easier.
Easier, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm sure we'd want to know a little more about that at some point. Well, for me, it doesn't look like there's a playbook, for success or for quick success.
Especially
There's no
this
formula.
Especially in your industry.
Yes.
Now, there must have been some things you've been doing right. You agree with me? Would you want to share some of them?
I think that for me, it's always, you make the first big film, you make a good film. The work is not making that first film. The work is sustaining, the quality that you have brought the first time.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was important that I kept on working to sustain. So I did The Visit in 2013, and I assumed that because he went to cinema, I won an AMVCA, so therefore I have blow. But no.
That word again.
Yes, ma'am. You have to blow.
You know,
To
but I
arrive, you have
realized
to
that
blow.
no, you need, the blowing doesn't just happen, particularly
Yes.
because you are behind the screen. If an actor, it's easy. So for a couple of actors, there's something called overnight, you know. But then again, it doesn't just happen like that. They've done a number of wakapas and auditions before that big hit. So when I did the visit in 2015, I assumed that, you know, it was hunky-dory going forward. But I realized that no, it was almost like doing it all over again. But what people see now is the consistency in the work.
Yes.
And that is what has earned the name or the accolades, because there's been a consistency.
Yes.
So then they know that this brand, when they hear this name, they are sure of what is going to be brought to the table. And that's a lot of hard work, you know, just being consistent. is a lot
And
of
that's
hard
also
work.
for me a lot of burden.
Yes.
You know, on you, on who the artist is when you break, so
Yes.
to speak, with your first work.
Yeah.
And you need to put more, you know, of you and more action into the subsequent ones,
Yes.
so that you don't let yourself down, so you don't let your viewers down,
Exactly.
and all that. But this issue of overnight success or not overnight success, you know, the younger ones really don't know about what goes on before someone blows, so to speak. And a lot of them these days really aren't interested in the journey.
No,
you know, in all of those years of writing and sleepless nights and getting people say to you,
Conceptualizing.
no, you can't do it, when you know you have it. You know, so if you, at this point in time, did you, at what point for you, did you get the feeling that success definitely is on the horizon? And what would you be saying to a lot of people like the scenario I just painted? Because many of our young ones these days really don't want to work hard.
Well, I mean, for me, I think there are like two-pronged questions you've asked me. A lot of the young ones, they see the finished product, and so the onus is on us, who they think are the finished product, to continually tell our story, remind the young ones of our journey, let them understand that this just didn't happen because I slept and I woke up. This took years. This took a lot of formation. This took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get here. So it is important that while we, the ones that they're looking at and they're hoping to emulate, being celebrated, we also need to let them understand the value, you know, putting into firming and to building themselves up to become who they think that we are. Secondly, it's also important to mention that success is never really finite. You don't get there. You have to keep building, you know, on that success. You have to keep, because you can lose what you think you've achieved like this.
Like that.
And there are many other people behind you who you are spurring on, and not just spurring them on, they want to overtake you. So trying to maintain relevance is success. Trying to stay relevant is the success. Trying to do the work year in, year out, and people appreciate the work, and maintaining that quote unquote the success that you've achieved. That is where the work is. So it's really not something that you get to and say, so like for me, I can't say, oh, this was what got me here, because I treat every project like it's my first. I'm going to die here. We have to do this everything as if I need to prove a point, because I need to prove a point to myself, not even to anybody, but to myself, that if I did it last year, I can do it better this year. And when I do it better this year, I must do it better next year.
So the stakes are always
Higher.
Yes.
getting higher and
Yes.
higher.
And that for me is the success. Maintaining that success is success. It's not just one project being successful. What about the next one?
So hard work
Consistency.
deserves more hard work.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So definitely you'd have learned a lot of lessons along the way. Now, for the sake of our viewers,
Apart from the ones you've shared so far.
just could you share some of the remarkable lessons that you learned?
One of the key things in our industry, building relationships and maintaining relationships, because you would always need each other. And then your creativity really is not the end of it all. It's just the beginning of the possibilities that, lie ahead of you. And one of the key things I've learned is giving people an opportunity. Because for me, when I started, I remember somebody gave me an opportunity to make a film.
Yeah.
The film was just in my head. And somebody said, I believe in your work. Let's fund it and let's put this. And so for me, it's that paying it forward every time with every project, trying to pay forward and find somebody else, giving another person an opportunity. And because when you give somebody an opportunity, that person would always remember you. You've done such an impactful thing, in that person's life. And I just want to tell the young ones, it really, and I say it with this adage I tell myself, that when the fan is blowing, it's like a standing fan, it rotates. So when it's blowing on you, you really need to be ready.
That's the good one.
To make use of the breeze, because it's going to move to somebody else. And so while you're waiting for it to come back to your turn, you need to stay relevant.
Yes.
And that's one of the key things I learned,
Yes.
that sometimes, the tides will turn, somebody new will come, who makes a better film,
Yes.
who surpasses you. But how do you remain relevant even in that, so that when the fan comes to you again, you still can make good use of the opportunity.
Yeah.
People say, I want an opportunity. When it comes, you're not even ready.
Yeah.
You're not even ready for it. You don't even know how to take advantage of it. But you just I want to blow. Okay, blow now.
Obviously, I'm talking about opportunities.
Yeah.
You don't look like you're a superwoman. Okay? So definitely you didn't do this all by yourself.
No, an army.
So
Tell us, an army, I like that.
Who were the key, supporters, or props?
I think the first would be my husband.
Wow.
Because filming takes long hours away from home, away from the children.
Yes.
And him just being supportive and saying, go live your dream. This is what you want to do. We're going to support. I mean, that for me is my number one, supporter. And then the man who gave me my very first opportunity, he's late now, Chris J. of Koga Studios. He was one who said, you carry something. Let's discover it together.
Yes.
We didn't get to make more than 2 films together before he passed, but I'm always grateful for that one person who looked at me and thought that, And then, of course, Mary Njoku, who just believes in the work that we keep on making. And my latest partnership would be Tara, who is just sold on this woman. There's so much we can do together. And just having people who believe in you
Yes.
is such a burden lifter, and it's so encouraging that that this thing I carry is not just me, that other people see it and they are willing to put their time and their money to making it a reality, and I'm grateful for those people.
And I'm sure you're also mentoring people and helping.
Oh yes,
course,
yes.
people
I do
get
have a
on
number of
their-
people who
get on
look
their
up to me,
feet.
and we have conversations. We have talks.
Yes.
I think that it's just important that we always remember to share our stories, because it's always encouraging to the people that come behind us.
Any age limits with people like Helen?
No,
come on board?
I mean, if we've heard the story of KFC. That man started Kentucky Fried Chicken when it was in the 70s.
Yes.
So really, there's no time. There's
So
no
Helen-
time
I picked up
limit.
a few things, by the way, when you were answering John's question, the one before the last, and I picked up stuff like you give some people opportunity. You need to give someone an opportunity, because you got an opportunity. A word like relevance, a word like staying together, and you also used the word like army. We keep talking about the team,
Yeah.
that works together, that achieves the best
Yes.
result. And for 4 weeks now, we've been looking at how huge, this industry is, and for the fact that it brings on board loads and loads of people, servicing different sectors
Yes.
of this industry. And having said that, yes, you haven't, your success at this point, there's more to achieve. So can we be asking for legacies from you, for example, at this point in time? Are there some key things that you're leaving behind, key points that you're leaving behind that people can, quickly just latch on?
I mean, I think that the quality of work that is being churned out. First, I just want to answer about the army. Many times people watch a movie and they only recognize the actor. but behind that screen, it's a sea of human beings. And Nollywood is one of the industries that employs people who don't necessarily have an education, but have a zeal and a passion.
Yeah.
You know, once you have the zeal and the passion, you can learn on the job and you can excel. We've seen people who have risen from production assistants to becoming, you know, gaffers or even film producers. You know, so that is one industry that helps people. And it's just for them being in the right team. So me, all the films that we make, that people clamor and say, oh, great film. I didn't make those films alone. And we have written some, but I didn't direct alone. I had an army of people somebody who handled the camera, somebody who did the sound, and it is these people that we usually forget to say thank you. So I'm saying thank you to all my crew members because they always make me look good. And then also in terms of legacies, I think that just leaving a fantastic body of work, a body of work that is a classic that would, because for me, filmmaking is purposeful. It's not just to entertain, it's really to impact. So I want to write a film or to make a film that will stay with you, that you can go back and go see because there's something that you've learned. Because for me, it's a ministry. It's not so much about entertainment. It would entertain, but it really needs to leave something in you.
A lesson.
Yes. And for me, I think that's the legacy that I'm leaving behind. This body of work that will never be forgotten.
Yeah, great.
I want to also chip in something else that a lot of us talk about. You just talked about the quality, and that's what drives you. When people compare our movies here and the movies produced outside of this country, and the fact that the Nigerian producers and directors think that they can, or they have been able to churn out good movies, sometimes not too good, in a short time, that when the Western or the producer director from England, for example, America, it's almost impossible and unimaginable for you to be able to get a movie, a good one, out in like a week. And we hear things like that happening in Aba, happening in Owerri, happening, you know, all over the place. What comment do you have to make in this?
I think first it's unfair to compare us with Hollywood. Hollywood had eons before we started. Okay. Secondly, we are in an industry where just recently we've started being funded and supported by the government. So what this industry has built basically from people's pockets, citizens' pocket. And it is important, while we are not there yet, we really need to applaud filmmakers in Nigeria. We are magicians. Because you are able to make with little funding, and you churn out something that would keep people glued for 90 minutes.
Yes.
You know, you don't even get to realize that, oh, they didn't light one place well. You know, because we're a performance-driven industry. So once the story is good, the performance is good, but now, you know, we neglect, but now we're then paying attention now to all of these things, the lighting, the camera, the quality, because now we are ready. We're ready because the world has noticed that even with this little funding, these people are doing so much. So let's bring them in, let's collaborate. And we're ready now for that world because the world has noticed us and they've seen us. They've seen the work and they appreciate the work. What we just need now is Nigerians appreciating the work and not saying that Godzilla is the same thing as Bread and Life. No. There are two different fundings. You can't compare $100 million to a few tens of millions.
And even before you get that tens of millions, it's a lot of sweat.
Yes.
But sincerely, we have to recognize, you know, the industry itself, the way it has grown.
Yes.
Because I mean, we've done it all by ourselves.
Yes.
Now, I'd like to ask you, having done that, how are we engaging government to at least give us that support? You know,
or should we engage government, or government should just engage?
I think that the government already started paying attention, which is why we now have the CBN Creative Intervention Fund, and there are quite a number of funds, you know, available. We do want more, because filming in Lagos, particularly, for instance, is getting tougher by the day. Area boys are becoming a menace. You're having to pay for a lot of things. We're being exploited. I mean, people just assume that because a celebrity drives a Range Rover, therefore everybody, if it's filmmakers, we are rich. No, we're not all rich. We're just trying. So we still need more from the government beyond, the intervention fund. We need a film village. We need things to make filming easy.
Are you talking about insecurity now?
Oh yes, there's quite a number of insecurity.
And structures.
And we don't have structure. It's expensive to film in Nigeria because you have to create your own power. And film runs heavily on power. Film runs very heavily because if you don't have power, you need to have a generator, which also affects your sound. So everything that is, if something is not functional, it affects pretty much. So we just need better structures, you know, to tell. The stories are there. We want to tell it better.
The stories are there. And sometimes when you hear these stories, you then wonder, how did the likes of Hubert Ogunde and Baba Salah, how did they go through?
The forerunners.
Or is it that they didn't have the same problems? Or relative problems? You know?
I think that problems have evolved over time. Once upon a time, when we started making film in 2012, I could pretty much set up a camera anywhere and people would just, you know, stand and watch with excitement. Now you can't set up a camera anywhere. Oh, Leda. That's the next thing you're hearing. Where our money? Where our money? Everybody is, you know, so the problems have evolved over time. Back then, if you were making a film, you were like a star. People are happy to open their doors to you. They want you to come in and use their space. Nobody wants to open their door to you. If they open their door to you, it's for a huge amount of money. For you to be allowed to film anywhere, you know. So these are things that have evolved over time. Back then, actors wanted to just perform for free, for the love of the art. People have now made that job a source of income, so they need to feed their families, so which means they need to be paid. So even though some of these programs have existed in the time of Herbert Okunde, it has evolved over time due to economy, social structure, so many things, social media.
Okay.
No.
All right, so before we let you go, we're almost running out of time and getting ready for our next guest, your friend. Before you go, you need to do a connect, you know, a linking between the myth and the overnight success or no overnight success and the making a mark, which will be the next area that we'll be looking at. Do a link.
There is no overnight success. There's a lot of hard work that then translates into success that may look as an overnight. So this myth doesn't really exist. They are, I mean, even for musicians who become a hit overnight, that person had been in the studio churning out all manners of, it is the one song that everybody now knows and you assume that, Oti blow. It doesn't work like that. So this myth, I think, doesn't exist. It doesn't. There's a lot of background work. If you ask anybody who seemingly looks like came out of nowhere and became this, they will tell you the work that they've put in before they got this opportunity. What exists in our industry may be opportunities. Opportunities that you never saw coming. I've seen situations where somebody had worked with somebody had gone somewhere for an audition and had ended up being auditioned and gotten a role and never went, you know, with the mind of, and that film had not gone on to become a success. Wow. It doesn't mean that that person had not, you know, been doing all the groundwork. Yes, so. And then for films, there are certain films, and I want to use the certain films that you didn't think would, from like my film, for instance, Picture Perfect. When we did it, we didn't think it was going to change Bolanle's career, but it did that for him, you know, so.
All right.
Well, so what you've succeeded in doing is prepared us for your friend who will be joining you shortly. Yeah. That's Tara Ajibulu. And then we'll see what she has to tell us about making a mark. We'll take a break now.
You're still on set with us, won't you?
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll take a break now, yeah?
Yes. Let's go on a break.
See you in a minute.